Hey guys, we're here to bring you a brand new show on Stacks TV. It's called The Commissioners. I'm Trey.
And I'm Sean, and we're going to be talking about some NFL football.
The first segment that me and Sean have for you is we have the top 5 plays from Week 7. We are each going to give you our 5 top plays and talk about them in depth, so get ready. Coming in at number 5, we have the Jaguars and the Raiders. We have Derek Carr with a 56-yard pass to Michael Crabtree. The Raiders come out with the win, and Crabtree has a huge catch.
My number 5 play, Colin Kaepernick drops back, stays on his feet, which he usually doesn't do during the pregame, and finds Sean Drone in the corner of the end zone. However, the 49ers get killed by the Buccaneers. Regardless, great catch by Sean Drone.
Coming in at number 4, we have the Bills and the Dolphins. We have Tyrod Taylor with a big pass to Marquise Goodwin. It's a pass for 67 yards. Even though he had that huge catch, Miami ended up getting the victory.
My number 4 play looks like a muff punt by the Raiders, and the punter, Marquette King, takes the ball and runs about 25 yards for the first down. This doesn't look like a design play, but it still worked out in the Raiders' favor, as you can see right here, and the Raiders ended up beating the Jaguars, who are terrible.
Coming in at number 3, we have an odd play between the Lions and Redskins. Matthew Stafford throws it to Golden Tate, and it bounces off of the defender, and Golden Tate ends up with the catch for 16 yards, and Detroit ends up getting the win at the end.
Okay, my number 3 play is Matthew Stafford goes long to Marvin Jones, who makes an unbelievable catch, and the Lions end up beating the Redskins. And the best part about this catch is it was against one of the best corners in the league, Josh Norman. Marvin Jones really having an awesome year for the Lions.
Coming in at number 2, we have the Jets and the Ravens. Geno Smith throws a 69-yard touchdown pass to Quincy Enunwa. This happened right before Geno Smith actually got injured in this game, and Ryan Fitzpatrick came back in as quarterback. Although we had the quarterback switch during this game, the Jets ended up with the win.
My number 2 play, Alex Smith goes long to Tyreek Hill. I've never heard of this guy before, but he makes an unbelievable acrobatic catch, and the Chiefs end up beating the Saints. Chiefs defense looking very good, as well as their offense with Tyreek Hill.
Coming in at number 1, we have a very lopsided matchup of Week 7. We have the Bengals against the Browns. At the end of the second quarter, Andy Dalton threw a touchdown Hail Mary pass for 48 yards to A.J. Green. And surprisingly, it ricocheted off of a few defenders, and he caught it. And the Bengals end up with a very easy and simple win.
My number 1 play, Landon Collins picks off a pass from Case Keenum, and he goes all the way across the field and gets blockers and somehow avoids every single player on the Rams offense. The Giants tie the game here, and they end up winning by 7 points thanks to an awesome play by Landon Collins as he falls into the end zone right there. Giants looking very good this year.
Our next segment of the show is our game picks for Week 8. So coming into our first game on Thursday night, we have the Jaguars and Titans. Now this game, it can go either way, right, Sean? You don't know what's going to come out of this one, but I've got to pick the Jags in this one. Allen Robinson only had 9 yards last game against the Raiders, and I think he's going to pick it up this game and finally get some catches and some touchdowns, hopefully.
Yeah, this is year after year the absolute worst game in the NFL. I don't know who to pick. I'm just going to take the Titans because obviously both teams are terrible. But the Jaguars have been extra bad this year, and the Titans are at home, so I'm going to go with Tennessee.
The next matchup we have is the Bengals against the Redskins. In this matchup, I'm going to have to go with the Bengals. I think the Bengals came off a good win last week. Jeremy Hill had a lot of yards. He had about 170. And he will not stop there. I think he's going to have a few touchdowns this week, and the Redskins defense won't be good enough to stop. And also, remember, Josh Norman just came off an injury, and he exited early last game, so he might even not be playing. So keep that in mind.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to take the Redskins here. I think the Bengals are going to have a hangover from the Browns game. Anytime a team plays the Browns and they win, it doesn't really count as a win, and that team thinks they're very good because they won, but actually they're terrible because the Browns are the worst team in the league, so I'm going to go with the Redskins.
The next matchup we have is the Chiefs against the Colts. In this matchup, I've got to go with the Colts. I think Andrew Luck's going to throw all over the Chiefs' defense. Even though the Chiefs' defense has been good over this past season, I think they are too on and off, and I think they're going to be cold this game, and I think Andrew Luck's going to take advantage.
Disagree again. I like the Chiefs. I think Andrew Luck has been very inconsistent, as with the entire Colts team. I think the Chiefs are on the up and up, and I'm going to put my trust in Andy Reid, which is probably not the best thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway.
The next game we have is the Raiders at the Buccaneers. Now, fun fact, the Raiders are now 4-0 away after their win last week at Jacksonville. So I've got to pick them again. They're very good on the road. They're not going to lose this one. Derek Carr's going to have a big game, and so will Latavius Murray.
I like the Buccaneers. The Raiders, I know they're good. They're one of the best teams in the AFC. I just can't trust the Raiders as an organization to continue to win. The Bucs have been kind of on and off this year, but I don't see the Raiders as being a 6-2 football team, so I'm going to go with the Bucs.
Next, we have the Seahawks and Saints. Coming off of last week, the Seahawks tied the Cardinals, and I think they looked pretty bad. So I'm going to have to go with the Saints in this one. I think Mark Ingram's going to have a huge game, and I think that Drew Brees is going to throw all over the Seahawks defense, all over the Legion of Boom.
Disagree again. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. This is a classic offense versus defense kind of matchup, and I always like to take the defensive team here. Even though the Seahawks, they didn't look very good against the Cardinals, neither team in that game looked good, I still like them to shut down Drew Brees.
Next, we have the Lions going to Houston to face the Texans. The Texans right now are undefeated at home, but I don't think it's going to last. I think the Lions are going to take this one. Matthew Stafford has been such an elite quarterback this year, and I think he's going to exploit the Texans defense to get an easy victory away at Houston.
This is like the 7th straight time we've disagreed, and we didn't talk about this before, so that's cool. I like the Texans. I think they're just too talented of a team. I know they haven't been doing very good. Brock Osweiler looks terrible, but I think they've got a lot of talent. I think they're going to put it together for this game against the Lions, so I like the Texans.
Now, even though we've disagreed on every single game so far, the Jets versus the Browns, I would be shocked if we disagreed on this one. So next we're going to go into that matchup. In this one, I have to pick the Jets. I think that the Browns are the worst football team in the NFL. I think they will not win a game this season as it looks. So the Jets will get an easy win here, no doubt.
I had this written down. I have Cleveland getting the upset against the Jets. If there's one team Cleveland can beat, it's the Jets. They're in absolute shambles. They benched their quarterback. The backup, Geno Smith, just tore his ACL. Now they have to go back and pretend like they trust Ryan Fitzpatrick, which he knows they don't. The front office and Ryan Fitzpatrick have had some issues. I think the entire team is an absolute disaster. I think if there's one week that the Browns could pull off an upset, it's this week, so I'm going to take Cleveland.
We are going to have an interesting week with picks for sure. The next game that we have is the Patriots and the Bills. Now, the Bills won the first matchup with the Patriots a few weeks ago, and I think, honestly, the Patriots will bounce back because they have been very solid lately. And with LaShawn McCoy banged up, you don't know what to expect currently out of the Bills' offense, so I think the Patriots will take this one easily.
This is one I finally agree with you on. I like the Pats. Beating the Patriots twice, if you're in the AFC East, is borderline impossible. And Brady's back. Everyone's healthy. I like the Pats to roll right over the Bills.
The next matchup we have is the NFC Championship rematch of the Cardinals and Panthers. In this one, I'm going to have to pick the Panthers. They've come off to a slow start to start the season, but the Cardinals came off of a tie to the Seahawks last week, and they just looked anything but good. I think that Cam Newton's going to have a huge game and put the Panthers in the right direction.
I agree. I think Cam's going to bounce back, and the Cardinals also looked terrible last week. I think they're going to have a hangover from that terrible game, which was so bad it was almost good against the Seahawks. But I do like the Panthers. I think Cam Newton's going to have a big day.
The next matchup we have is the Packers and Falcons. I think this one's going to be the game of the week. Go Pack Go. I'm going to have to go with the Packers in this one. The Falcons came off of a rough loss last week against San Diego, and the Packers, even though they've had it easy with last week against the Bears, it was an easy win. I think that they have the talent to be able to beat the Falcons, so I think they're going to get it done.
I agree. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been playing to his abilities this year, but I think he's going to turn around this week. I think that there's one week that they're going to really get up for a game. It's against the Falcons, so I like the Packers to beat the Falcons.
The next game we have the Broncos traveling to San Diego to play the Chargers. In this one, I'm going to have to go with my team. I'm going to have to go with the Broncos to win this one. Melvin Gordon's been averaging about 2 yards a carry, and even though he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns, they're goal line feeds. So I think that the offense will finally get slowed down this game, and the Broncos will get an easy victory because the Broncos defense is one of the top, or if not the top, in the NFL.
I agree. Broncos defense, obviously very hard to beat. I don't think the Chargers have a high-powered offense or enough of a high-powered offense to beat the Broncos. Phillip Rivers has been inconsistent. his whole career and this year. So I'm going to take the Broncos.
The next game we have is the Eagles traveling to Dallas to play the Cowboys. I'm going to have to pick Dallas off of the bye week in this one. I think that Ezekiel Elliott, he's been on a roll lately, and I don't think he's going to stop here. I think they're going to get an easy win against Philadelphia.
I agree. I don't know about an easy win, but I think it's going to be close. The key difference in this game is every year we have these division rivalry games in the NFC East, and Tony Romo always throws a late game interception to lose the game. This year, Tony Romo is injured. Therefore, the Cowboys will probably win the game.
The last game that we have is the Monday night game, the Vikings against the Bears. I'm going to have to go with the Bears in this one in the upset. I think their offense is finally going to click, and they're going to get their second win of the season. I think Alshon Jeffrey is finally going to get a touchdown this season. I really hope so. And I think that the Vikings, coming off of that rough loss against the Eagles, won't be able to rebound here and get the win.
I disagree. I don't see an upset happening. I know the Bears are at home. They're just not a very good football team, and I know the Vikings lost last week, but I think they're going to bounce back. I can't put my trust in the Bears. I can't put my trust in Brian Hoyer. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and just looking at this game, you have to take the Vikings.
That's fair enough. With our last segment of the show, we're going to put together our perfect lineups, very similar to DraftKings, and we're going to present them to you guys. And what we want you guys to do each week is send in a lineup of who you think is going to do the best per week. Like for next week, for week 8, we want you guys to send in your perfect lineup, and whoever gets the most correct picks by the end of the season, each week we're going to have a winner announced on the show. And whoever gets the most correct picks will get a t-shirt or a prize of another sort. And the way the lineups work is we're going to have a QB slot, 2 running back slots, 2 wide receiver slots, a tight end spot, a flex spot, and a defense spot. So I'm going to go first. My QB slot, I have Cam Newton. I think he's going to have a big bounce back game against the Cardinals. I think he's going to tear apart the Cardinals defense and get an easy win. In my running back 1 spot, I have Matt Forte. He came off of a huge week last week with a few touchdowns, and I think he's going to pick up right where he left off. In my RB2 slot, I have Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's been having a good season so far, and I think he's going to continue it against the Eagles. In my wide receiver 1 slot, I have A.J. Green. He caught a huge Hail Mary pass last week against the Browns, and I think he's just going to keep catching passes this week. Coming in my wide receiver 2 slot, I have Anquan Bolden on the Lions. He had a huge game-winning touchdown catch last week, and I think that he's going to pick up right where he left off for this week. In my tight end slot, I have Julius Thomas, and that's an iffy one, but he got a touchdown last week, so hopefully he'll get 1 or 2 this week. Coming in my flex, I have Randall Cobb. He had a huge 17-point game last week against the Bears, and although the Falcons' defense is much better than the Bears' defense, I still think he's going to have a big week. And coming in at my defense, I have the Jets' defense. They're playing the Browns, so anybody that goes against the Browns, I automatically pick their defense. So that's my lineup for this week.
That's an interesting lineup, but I think mine's better. So for my quarterback, I like Tom Brady versus the Bills. I'm going to pick Tom Brady in my quarterback slot every week. 1, because I'm a Pats homer, and 2, because he's the best quarterback ever, and 3, because he's going to have an awesome year this year like every year. My running back, DeMarco Murray versus the Jaguars, for the sole reason that the Jaguars can't stop anyone on the ground, and DeMarco Murray is a very, very talented running back. I think he's going to have a big day. My next running back, Spencer Ware on the Chiefs. He's playing the Colts. The Colts have been inconsistent this year, and the Chiefs have been looking a little bit better every week, so I like Spencer Ware.
Now I have to ask you, what about Jamal Charles? Do you think he's going to be healthy for next week? Because if he is, then you can't.
I don't trust Jamal Charles to be healthy. I think he was supposed to be healthy at the beginning of this year.
Hall of Fame back.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame back.
We'll see, guys.
I like Spencer Ware. Maybe they'll split carries. I still like Spencer Ware. Jordy Nelson is my wide receiver. I think Rodgers is really going to turn around. He hasn't been playing very well this year, but I think they're going to be prepared for the game against the Falcons, and his top target, Jordy Nelson, will do well. My next wide receiver is Will Fuller. He's kind of a hit-or-miss player. He'll catch a long touchdown or he'll get 0 catches, but I think he's going to exploit the Lions secondary, and he's maybe the fastest player in the entire league. So all Brock Osweiler has to do is throw it as far as he can, and Will's going to catch it. My tight end is Kyle Rudolph. He's playing the Bears. I think the Bears will be so overwhelmed by all the weapons that the Vikings have and including their defense. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout, and I like Kyle Rudolph to have a good day. My flex is Chris Hogan on the Patriots. He hasn't had a great year so far. He lost a fumble last week, but he's very talented, and when he gets some opportunities, Tom Brady makes him look like a star. And I think the Bills are going to be focusing a lot on Bennett and Gronk, so I like Chris Hogan to get open. And finally, my defense is the Houston Texans versus Detroit. I think Houston's going to finally start playing to their potential. I think Detroit's going to lay an egg, so I like the Texans.
You know, it's pretty tough to pick the Houston defense going against an elite quarterback like Matt Stafford.
I don't think he's very elite. Yeah, he's got a good arm, but I still think he's prone to making very bad decisions with the football. So I still like the Texans defense against Matt Stafford, who hasn't really made great decisions over his career with the football.
We'll see you guys. Thank you for tuning in this week to the Commissioners. We're here each week to give you fantasy football and NFL advice.
We'll see you next week. Go Patriots.
Go Broncos.